The film begins by introducing a Navy Marine named Vice Admiral Garp, who is about to execute a notorious pirate king named Gold Roger. The Marines have always seen pirates as a menace to be eradicated, and capturing Gold Roger marks their greatest achievement to date. Garp prepares to execute Gold Roger in front of millions of witnesses to showcase the Navy's power. Unexpectedly, before the execution starts, Gold Roger announces the existence of a treasure that offers unimaginable wealth and invites everyone to set sail in search of it. Gold Roger's final words have since transformed the world. Now everyone races to find this treasure, which has come to be known as the One Piece. The story then shifts to the present, where we see a young man wearing the straw hat drifting across the East Blue Sea. This is Monkey D. Luffy, one of the many seeking the One Piece treasure. Unlike others who have formed crews, Luffy is still alone and has yet to assemble his own team. Despite his inability to swim, his ambition to become the Pirate King burns strong. Unfortunately, on the very first day of his adventure, Luffy's boat is destroyed, and he is forced to hide in a small barrel to avoid drowning. Where will the sea carry Luffy next? We are then introduced to a cruel pirate named Alvida, who has a bounty of 5 million berries on her head. Since the rise of pirates, the Marines have placed bounties on those who capture or kill them. Alvida, using her power, raids a ship and seizes its food supplies. She also captures several crew members, questioning them about the whereabouts of a pirate hunter named Roronoa Zoro. Aboard Alvida's ship, there is a timid young man named Kobe, who has long suffered under Alvida's command. Later that night, as Kobe wallows in despair, he suddenly hears a noise coming from a small barrel. To his surprise, inside the barrel is none other than Luffy. Luffy introduces himself as a pirate, but Kobe insists that pirates are supposed to be ruthless killers and thieves. Luffy explains that he's a different kind of pirate. The scene briefly shifts to Luffy's childhood in Windmill Village. As a child, Luffy idolized a red-haired pirate captain named Shanks. Time and again, Luffy begged Shanks to let him join his crew, but Shanks always refused, believing Luffy was too young. Frustrated by the rejection, Luffy boldly scarred his face to prove his resolve as a future pirate. Influenced by Shanks, Luffy grew up with a free-spirited pirate's heart. He shared this with Kobe, though Kobe remained terrified of Alvida. As Luffy prepared to leave the ship, he accidentally caused a commotion that woke Alvida and her crew. Alvida glared at Luffy for daring to trespass on her ship, but Luffy remained calm. When Alvida attacked, Luffy stretched his body like rubber. Even bullets couldn't harm him, and he quickly defeated Alvida. But where did Luffy get such power? It turns out that as a child, Luffy accidentally ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, a devil fruit. Devil fruits come in various types, each granting unique powers. Luffy's happened to give him the ability to stretch his body like rubber. Now, we are introduced to Roronoa Zoro, currently on Sixus Island. A pirate hunter wielding 3 swords, Zoro is seen standing amidst a field of wax. He is approached by Mr. Seven, a member of Baroque Works, who offers Zoro a place in their syndicate. Zoro refuses outright. Angered, Mr. Seven attacks Zoro with 2 swords, but Zoro easily defeats him. Zoro then brings Mr. Seven's head to the nearest Marine base to claim the bounty. This is Shell's Town, home of Marine Branch 153. It houses a map of the Grand Line, coveted by pirates, including Luffy. Luffy and Kobe sneak into the base, assessing the situation. In a nearby cafe, they spot Zoro and a red-haired woman named Nami. While drinking, Zoro rescues a young girl from a Marine officer named Helmeppo, who was actually the son of Captain Morgan, an axe-handed Marine captain who keeps the Grand Line map in his quarters. Because of this incident, Zoro is arrested and left tied up in the yard for 7 days. He endures the punishment, meeting the bounty money Captain Morgan promised him for Mr. Seven's head. The next day, Luffy sneaks into the Marine base through an underground passage, searching for the Grand Line map. Along the way, he accidentally encounters Zoro and witnesses his fighting skills. Luffy offers Zoro a spot on his crew, but Zoro refuses. Nonetheless, Luffy kindly helps free Zoro. Luffy then heads to the room where the map is kept and runs into Nami. Since they both seek the Grand Line map, they decide to work together to find it in Captain Morgan's quarters. Nami, being highly skilled in theft and trickery, manages to deceive Captain Morgan and even steal the key to his room. After locating the chest containing the Grand Line map, the two work together to unlock it. Unfortunately, their actions are discovered by Captain Morgan, putting Luffy and Nami in a tight spot. Acting quickly, Luffy pulls the chest out of its place, causing both him and Nami to be flung into the courtyard. This immediately makes them the target of all the Marines stationed there. Amid the chaos, Zoro, who was planning to escape, notices that Luffy and Nami are struggling, so he decides to step in and help. When facing Captain Morgan, Luffy and Zoro realize that Morgan's body is equipped with weapons. The two coordinate their attack. Luffy targets the upper body, while Zoro focuses on the lower. Surprisingly, this unexpected teamwork leads to Luffy, Zoro, and Nami joining forces as a team. Meanwhile, Koby chooses not to follow them, deciding instead to pursue his dream of becoming a Marine. The news of the Grand Line map theft eventually reaches Garp. Additionally, a pirate captain with a 15 million bounty named Buggy the Clown learns of the stolen map as well. Now both the Marines and pirates are aware of the map's location, and neither side will rest until they've reclaimed it. The story flashes back to Luffy's childhood, where Makino explains the consequences of eating a devil fruit. Eating one is like making a pact with the devil, meaning the sea itself will reject Luffy, leaving him weak in water. Back in the present, Luffy and his crew finally manage to open the chest containing the Grand Line map. Since only Nami can read it, she explains its contents to Luffy and Zoro. Nami describes how the ocean is divided into 4 quadrants: East Blue, North Blue, West Blue, and South Blue. A small landmass running through the center is known as the Red Line, while the ocean cutting across it is called the Grand Line. The Grand Line is a vast sea filled with islands and cities, and of course, many ruthless pirates. In the middle of their discussion, a red gas suddenly explodes above their ship, knocking Luffy and the others unconscious. When they wake up, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami find themselves in the middle of a circus performance orchestrated by Buggy the Clown. Buggy had captured everyone in the town and forced them to watch his circus act. He demands the location of the Grand Line map from them, but fortunately, Luffy had already eaten the map to keep it out of anyone's hands. In this tense situation, Nami offers something more valuable than the map. While trying to escape, she is shocked to see the town in ruins, destroyed by Buggy's actions. Nami's behavior reveals that Luffy holds his straw hat dearer than anything else. Recognizing the bond Luffy has with his hat, Buggy separates Luffy from his friends. Meanwhile, Vice Admiral Garp finally arrives in Shellstown. He interrogates Captain Morgan about the recent events, but his attention shifts to Koby, who was reported to have arrived with Luffy. Garp then invites Kobe to work with him in capturing Luffy. Back with Luffy, Buggy traps him, demanding to know the whereabouts of the Grand Line map. When Luffy refuses to reveal it, Buggy takes Luffy's beloved straw hat. To Luffy's surprise, Buggy knows the original owner of the straw hat. It turns out that Buggy and Shanks were once part of the same crew. Buggy harbors resentment towards Shanks, feeling betrayed and abandoned by him. Luffy becomes fed up with Buggy's antics and, in a burst of anger, frees himself and attacks Buggy, knocking his head off. However, it turns out that Buggy, like Luffy, had eaten a devil fruit, which allows him to split and reassemble his body at will. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Zoro and Nami are also tied up by someone named Kabaji. Kabaji holds a grudge against Zoro for killing his brother 2 years ago. He attempts to exact revenge, but Nami escapes her cage and helps Zoro. Once freed, the two rush to find Luffy, who was trapped in a tank of seawater. In that moment, Luffy recalls his memories of Shanks, remembering the time Shanks sacrificed his arm to save Luffy from a sea monster. Afterward, Shanks entrusted Luffy with his straw hat, asking him to return it once he became a great pirate. After being rescued, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami team up to defeat Buggy. During the battle, Luffy comes up with an idea to lock the separate parts of Buggy's body in different boxes, rendering him incomplete. This plan works, and Luffy sends Buggy flying into the open sea. With Buggy defeated, Luffy and his friends successfully free the townspeople who had been held captive. Now, with the map in hand, they prepare to set sail for the Grand Line. However, unbeknownst to Luffy and Zoro, Nami secretly contacts someone and informs them that she now has possession of the map. Episode 3 opens with a flashback to Syrup Village. 7 years ago, there a young boy named Usopp is seen warning the villagers about the approach of pirates. At first, the villagers are frightened and rush indoors after hearing Usopp's warnings. However, as Usopp grows older, the villagers begin to ignore him, as no pirates ever actually arrive at their village. The story then shifts back to Luffy, Nami, and Zoro, who are still sailing toward the Grand Line. During the journey, Luffy proudly reveals a pirate flag that represents their crew. Luffy names their crew the Straw Hat Pirates. At the time, they faced some issues with their ship, forcing them to stop at Gecko Islands, specifically Syrup Village, to see if they can find a better vessel. Fortunately, Syrup Village is renowned for its shipbuilding, making it easy for them to find the perfect ship. Meanwhile, Vice Admiral Garp leads a group of cadets to hunt down the Straw Hat Pirates. One of the chosen cadets is Kobe, who seems to be receiving special attention from Garp. Despite being defeated by Luffy, Buggy the Clown is still alive. After reassembling his body, Buggy is captured by a fishman named Arlong, who has a bounty of 20 million berries. Arlong apprehends Buggy for trespassing in the East Blue, his territory. Buggy, desperate to save his life, tells Arlong about Luffy, claiming that Luffy disrespected him. Buggy then pleads for mercy and promises to help Arlong capture Luffy. When it comes to their ship, Luffy wants something grand, well-equipped, and, of course, the fastest ship around. Nami, however, prefers something more discreet so they can steal it easily. Luffy rejects her idea as he has no intention of stealing a ship. Instead, he plans to negotiate with the ship's owner, hoping they will give it to the Straw Hat Pirates for free, an idea Nami finds ridiculous. The crew then meets Usopp, who claims to know the shipowner Luffy is looking for. Usopp offers to introduce them to the owner so that they can negotiate. The ship's owner turns out to be a sickly orphan girl named Kaya. She lives in a grand mansion with her 3 servants, Klahadore, Sham, and Bachi. Coincidentally, it's Kaya's birthday, so she invites Usopp, the Straw Hat Pirates, to dinner to celebrate. Zoro, for some reason, feels like he's seen Klahadore before. After getting cleaned up, the Straw Hat Pirates, Usopp, and Kaya gather for dinner to celebrate Kaya's 18th birthday. Also present is someone named Mary, who manages all of Kaya's family wealth. Since Kaya has turned 18, she is now old enough to inherit all of her parents' fortune, including ownership of the shipyard. However, something suspicious is happening with Klahadore and the other servants, as they continually insist that Kaya consume strange blue-colored soup and drink. Nami becomes uneasy and irritated with Klahadore. Meanwhile, Luffy surprises everyone by discussing their need for a ship and their pirate identity. The pirate image in the village is quite negative, but Luffy makes it clear that he and his crew are different. He openly requests one of Kaya's ships, promising to take care of it as if it were one of his crew members. Klahadore dismisses Luffy's request as ridiculous, although Kaya herself has no objections and even invites Usopp and the others to stay the night. Back on the ship, Marine Helmeppo reports to Garp that they found a Straw Hat Pirates flag not far from the location. Eager to act, Garp orders his men to dock at the nearest island, confident that Luffy and his crew are still there. He specifically sends Koby to lead the capture of Luffy. At the same time, Mary meets with Klahadore in the storage room. Mary wants to meet Kaya urgently to finalize the transfer of her wealth. However, Klahadore intercepts Mary and claims he will represent Kaya. Distrustful, Mary confronts Klahadore, who reveals his true identity and kills him. Soon after, Zoro and Luffy, still hungry, find Usopp in the kitchen. Usopp excitedly questions Luffy about pirate adventures. Though intrigued, Usopp is reluctant to leave Kaya alone. Luffy is impressed by Usopp's accuracy and learns that Usopp's skill comes from his father, Yasopp, who is a pirate and a member of Shanks' crew. This connection surprises Usopp and brings him closer to Luffy and the others. Later, Usopp and Zoro head to the storage room to find drinks, while Luffy enjoys the blue soup in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Nami, in her thieving nature, fills a sack with valuables from Kaya's home. Unintentionally, she enters Kaya's room with the loot. Kaya, who is kind-hearted, doesn't mind the stolen items and considers Nami a friend, which makes Nami feel guilty. Their interaction turns into a serious, friendly conversation. When Zoro and Usopp arrive in the storage room, they are shocked to find Mary's body. Recognizing the 5 stab wounds, Zoro identifies Klahadore as Kuro, the Black Cat pirate captain with a bounty of 16 million berries, and realizes that the other servants are also his crew members. Unexpectedly, Kuro and his crew had been disguising themselves as servants to infiltrate Kaya's household, aiming to seize her wealth. After years of waiting, they are determined to eliminate anyone who obstructs their plans. During the confrontation, Zoro is struck on the head with a bottle and loses consciousness. Meanwhile, a terrified Usopp manages to escape. He seeks help from the villagers, but no one believes his story. Eventually, he encounters Koby, who is willing to trust him. Kuro orders his crew to dispose of Mary's and Zoro's bodies in a well to facilitate the elimination of others. Nami, unaware of the unfolding danger, searches for her friends but finds only Luffy, who is unconscious from the poisoned blue soup. Before she can help him, Kuro and his crew approach the kitchen, forcing Nami to hide. Soon, Usopp, Koby, Helmeppo, and several Marines arrive at Kaya's house. They encounter Kuro, who is still posing as the head servant. Kuro tells Koby that Usopp is known for lying about pirates, and since there is no solid evidence, Koby cannot take further action. Seeing the dire situation, Nami emerges and knocks out Siam, who is alone in the kitchen. She rushes to Kaya's room, realizing Kaya is in imminent danger. Usopp reaches Kaya first and warns her about Kuro's true identity. Kaya initially dismisses Usopp's claims until Nami arrives and corroborates his warning. Meanwhile, Zoro, now conscious, struggles to escape from the well. His repeated failures remind him of his childhood when he repeatedly lost duels to a girl named Shimatsuki Kina. Zoro, determined to improve, challenged Kina to a duel with real swords. After winning, Kina acknowledged Zoro's potential, predicting he would eventually surpass her in skill. They vowed to train together daily until one became the world's greatest swordsman. Tragically, Kuina's untimely death from an accident shattered Zoro's dream, leaving him deeply saddened. He inherited Kuina's sword and pledged to honor her memory by becoming the finest swordsman. Meanwhile, Kuro and his crew begin sealing off Kaya's house to facilitate their plan to kill Kaya and anyone else inside. Kuro and his crew reveal their true identities as ruthless pirates. Usopp, Kaya, and Nami attempt to escape through a secret door, but Kuro catches on. Although Kuro manages to wound Kaya, the trio escapes and heads to Kaya's parents' room to regain control of the house. Meanwhile, Luffy, who had been captured, vomits the poison soup while being transported by Koby and the others, regaining consciousness. Determined, Zoro escapes from the well and, together with Luffy, they head back to Kaya's house to rescue her and the crew. Despite Helmeppo's threats to kill Luffy if he doesn't return to the ship, Zoro arrives just in time to help Luffy. Kuro enters Kaya's parents' room, expressing his long-held resentment after years of pretense. Kaya and Nami try to confront him, but Kuro proves too powerful. Usopp attempts to shoot Kuro with his bow, but is defeated. Zoro and Luffy arrive and split up the search for the others. Luffy manages to stop Kuro from killing Kaya just in time. Zoro, despite being alone, overcomes Kuro's subordinates and binds them. In a fierce battle, Luffy faces Kuro one-on-one. Kuro's speed makes the fight challenging, but Luffy eventually defeats him. Grateful for their bravery, Kayu gives them the ship they desired, which they name Going Merry. Luffy offers Usopp a spot on their crew, knowing Usopp dreams of pirate adventures. Initially hesitant, Usopp is encouraged by Kaya, who assures him that she will be fine. With Usopp joining, the Straw Hat crew sets sail on their new ship, the Going Merry. However, their adventure begins with a confrontation as the ship is attacked by the Marine forces led by Vice Admiral Garp. As Luffy spots Garp, he reveals him as his grandfather, shocking the entire crew. Flashbacks reveal Garp's role in Luffy's upbringing, showing how he constantly pressured Luffy to become a Marine despite Luffy's desire to be a pirate. Meanwhile, Garp, despite being Luffy's grandfather and still caring for him, is determined to capture Luffy and his crew alive, even though Luffy is now a pirate and an enemy of the Marines. Due to his affection, Garp attempts to stop Luffy's resistance by throwing a cannonball at their ship. However, with his rubber-like body, Luffy deflects the cannonball back at Garp's ship, causing damage and forcing Garp to halt his pursuit of the Straw Hat crew. While the ship undergoes repairs, Garp contacts his acquaintance, Draco Mihawk, who is known as the world's greatest swordsman and a pirate with no crew. Garp assigns Mihawk the mission to capture Luffy alive. Initially, Mihawk refuses, deeming Luffy a minor pirate, but he eventually accepts after Garp convinces him that Luffy is a formidable opponent with unpredictable surprises. Witnessing this communication, Koby, who was once with Luffy, questions Garp about why the Marines, who are law enforcers, are collaborating with a pirate known for criminal activities. To change Kobe's naive perspective, Garp explains Mihawk's profile, the major secret of the Marines. Mihawk is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, powerful pirates who act as allies to maintain order and handle issues beyond legal means. The Marines allow these warlords to continue their illegal pirating activities in exchange for their assistance. At the end of his explanation, Garp gives Kobe the option to resign as a Marine if he disagrees with the Marines' methods of maintaining order and security. Meanwhile, the Straw Hat crew stumbles upon a floating restaurant called Barati while fleeing from the Marines. They decide to stop at Barati to discuss the recent Marine attack. Luffy, as captain, views Garp and the Marines as minor obstacles, confident that his crew can handle any challenges. Soon after, we are introduced to Sanji, a talented chef who values food highly. Sanji frequently gets reprimanded by the head chef and restaurant owner, Zaf, for cooking dishes not on the menu. However, Sanji disregards Zaf's complaints, using his cooking as a way to relieve boredom. Sanji then served his delicious culinary creations to the Straw Hat crew, who had just arrived at the restaurant. After the meal, Luffy, as the captain, was presented with a hefty bill from Zef for the expensive dishes. To Luffy's surprise, he could only pay the bill if he fulfilled his dream of finding the One Piece treasure and becoming the Pirate King. Seeing Luffy's dream as unrealistic, Zef decided to impose a punishment on him. Luffy had to wash dishes for a duration corresponding to the bill amount. While washing dishes, Luffy got acquainted with Sanji, who had been kicked out of the kitchen by Zef for once again cooking dishes not on the menu. During their conversation, Sanji shared his dream of finding All Blue, a legendary place said to be full of rare ingredients coveted by chefs worldwide. Sanji also talked about his conflicts with Zef, which often left him feeling pressured. Hearing this, Luffy suggested that Sanji leave his current job and join the Straw Hat crew to pursue his dream and cook freely. However, Sanji declined Luffy's offer, explaining that his relationship with Zef was more complicated than Luffy thought. A short while later, Mihawk, the pirate sent by Garp, finally located the Straw Hat crew at the restaurant. In brief, Zoro refused Mihawk's request to reveal Luffy's location and boldly challenged Mihawk to a duel to the death the following morning. Nami strongly opposed Zoro's decision, arguing that fighting Mihawk was akin to suicide. Nonetheless, Zoro was determined, seeing Mihawk as the greatest swordsman and a role model. Understanding Zoro's resolve, Luffy, as captain, allowed him to pursue his dream. The next morning, the duel between Zoro and Mihawk began. Zoro fought with all his might, while Mihawk used a small sword and barely exerted himself. Mihawk dominated the fight, eventually drawing his signature large sword to counter Zoro's ultimate attack, which resulted in Zoro's sword being sliced in half. At the climax of the battle, Mihawk delivered a final blow to Zoro's chest, emerging victorious. Impressed by Zoro's bravery, Mihawk spared Zoro's life, allowing him to continue training and challenge Mihawk again in the future. Mihawk also let Luffy go, admiring his serious ambition to become the Pirate King. After Mihawk departed, Zoro vowed to Luffy that he would never lose to Mihawk again and promised to continue striving to become the greatest swordsman, ensuring Luffy would not be disappointed. Shortly after, Zoro lost consciousness due to severe blood loss. Meanwhile, Mihawk met with Garp to report the outcome of his mission. Mihawk candidly admitted that he had deliberately let Luffy go because he was intrigued to see how far Luffy could make it in the Grand Line, a place known for claiming many pirate lives. Additionally, Mihawk was curious whether Luffy could achieve his dream of becoming the Pirate King. Garp was enraged upon learning this and reprimanded Mihawk for deliberately releasing Luffy. Garp then shared with Kobe that he had trained Luffy rigorously with the hope that he would become a great marine. Therefore, Garp was deeply disappointed to see Luffy persist in his decision to become a pirate. Feeling he could no longer turn Luffy into a marine, Garp decided to take a decisive stance against Luffy. He ordered his subordinates to capture Luffy and the Straw Hat crew by any means necessary so they could be brought to justice. Meanwhile, Luffy managed to convince Sanji and Zeff to help treat Zoro, who was in critical condition. Sanji quickly prepared the necessary equipment for Zeff to stitch Zoro's severe chest wound. Luffy and his friends were impressed with Zeff's skill in treating wounds. It was then revealed that Zeff possessed this ability because he had once been a pirate captain. Sanji then recounted his past with Zeff before they started their restaurant business. In the past, Sanji worked as a chef on a ship that was attacked by Zeff's pirate crew. During the attack, Zeff had intended to kill Sanji for daring to fight back. However, as the attack was happening, both Sanji's and Zeff's ships were struck by a powerful storm. The next day, Sanji and Zeff woke up on a large rock. Here, Zeff revealed that everyone else on their ships had died, except for him and Sanji. After handing Sanji a sack of food, Zeff instructed him to stay away and keep watch for any passing ships. In short, Sanji and Zeff were stranded on this rock for 85 days. During this time, Sanji considered killing Zeff if he refused to give up the remaining food. However, Sanji soon discovered that the sack did not contain food but treasure. Even more surprising, Zeff had amputated his own leg to eat, having actually saved all his food for Sanji to ensure his survival. Zeff then explained that he was willing to go to such lengths because he shared Sanji's dream of finding All Blue, which was thought to be a mere myth. Now, due to his old age, Zeff had stopped searching for All Blue and hoped that Sanji would continue the quest to fulfill their shared dream. After surviving the ordeal, Sanji lived with Zeff to repay his kindness. Back in the present, Zoro remained unconscious despite Zeff's effective treatment known among sailors. Shortly after, the restaurant was visited by Arlong, a fishman. As we know, Arlong had come to this place searching for Luffy because Luffy possessed a Grand Line map that Arlong coveted. Arlong threatened to destroy the restaurant and eat the other customers if Luffy did not come to meet him. While waiting for Luffy, Arlong displayed his cruel nature and contempt for humans, asserting that fishmen were superior to humans in every way. This belief led Arlong to treat humans with utter disdain. After receiving a report from Usopp, Luffy confronted Arlong. Arlong revealed that he knew Luffy's location because he had been working with Buggy. Unbeknownst to Luffy, Buggy had managed to slip a piece of his ear into Luffy's hat, allowing Buggy to spy on Luffy's activities. Arlong then stated that he needed the Grand Line map to become the Pirate King. Feeling challenged, Luffy fought Arlong to prove who was more deserving of the title of Pirate King. Unfortunately, Luffy was defeated despite his best efforts. As Arlong prepared to kill Luffy, Nami suddenly arrived and revealed that she had the Grand Line map. Nami admitted that she had joined the Straw Hat crew to steal the map. Arlong also claimed that Nami was actually one of his loyal crew members. Before leaving with Nami, Arlong vented his anger by throwing Luffy into the sea. Luffy, being a Devil Fruit user, was powerless in the water, his main weakness. Fortunately, Sanji arrived just in time and managed to pull Luffy back to the surface. Shortly thereafter, Luffy found Zoro, who was still unconscious. At this moment, Luffy hoped Zoro would regain consciousness to assist him again. Miraculously, Zoro woke up, reaffirming his loyalty to the Straw Hat crew and agreeing to serve as the vice captain. The next day, Luffy set out with Zoro and Usopp to find Nami. Before their departure, Sanji arrived to join the Straw Hat crew. As a parting gesture, Sanji deeply thanked Zeff for saving his life and supporting him so patiently. At the end of their meeting, Sanji promised Zeff that he would continue searching for all Blue. During their journey with the Straw Hat crew, Luffy informs the crew that Buggy, who was previously an enemy, has now become an ally in the search for Nami. It turns out that this alliance is based on a mutually beneficial agreement. In this deal, Buggy will help the Straw Hats locate the island of Economy, while the Straw Hats will assist Buggy in retrieving his missing body parts taken by Arlong's crew. Soon after, the Straw Hat crew arrives at Cocoa Village in the Economy Islands, Nami's hometown. They are shocked to find the village in ruins from Arlong's pirate attack. Learning that Luffy is looking for Nami, the village sheriff, Kenzo, directs them to Nami's house nearby. On their way, the Straw Hats encounter Nami, who is performing her duties as a member of Arlong's crew. Nami drives them away, asserting that joining Arlong's crew was her chosen path. She then leaves without paying any attention to Luffy and his crew. At Nami's house, Luffy meets Nami's adoptive sister, Nojiko. Thanks to Sanji's delicious food, Nojiko eventually reveals that Arlong was responsible for the death of Nami and Nojiko's adoptive mother. This is why the entire Cocoa Village, including Nojiko, now despises Nami for aligning with the pirates who destroyed their village and killed their mother. Despite Nojiko's revelations, Luffy cannot believe that Nami is truly a member of Arlong's crew. From his experiences with her, Luffy is convinced that Nami is not as wicked as the villagers claim. Sensing something is amiss, Luffy sets out again to find Nami and uncover the truth. Next, we see Nami's past and how she came to join Arlong's crew. Nami was once a poor girl living with Nojiko and their adoptive mother, Belmer. Frustrated with her impoverished life, Nami stole a map book from the village library. Belmer, upset by the theft, scolded and slapped Nami for not appreciating the family she had. To make Nami understand, Belmer recounts how she found Nami and Nojiko. Belmer was once a marine tasked with capturing pirates. Amid a critical situation, she found renewed purpose when she discovered Nami and Nojiko, who had lost their parents in a pirate attack. Belmer adopted Nami and Nojiko, raising them as her own and teaching them to strive to be good people despite their hardships. Sometime later, their village was attacked by Arlong's pirates. After devastating the village, Arlong extorts the villagers for tribute to ensure their safety. During his attack, Arlong encounters Belmer. Nami and Nojiko have not paid their tribute because Belmer's money is only enough to cover the tribute for 2 children. Belmer uses her money to pay for Nami and Nojiko, not wanting to lose her children. Belmer is ultimately executed by Arlong for failing to pay her own tribute. In her final moments, Belmer apologizes to Nami and Nojiko for not being the mother they deserved. After this tragedy, Nami agrees to join Arlong and offers a deal. If she can provide Arlong with 100 million berry, he must free Cocoa Village from his rule. Arlong accepts the offer, impressed by Nami's talent in map-making and navigation. Back in the present, Nami delivers the Grand Line map as demanded by Arlong. Pleased with Nami's success, Arlong promises her a strategic position once he conquers the seas. Arlong then assigns Nami the task of collecting overdue tribute from Cocoa Village. However, Nami refuses, stating that she now has the 100 million berry and wants to free her village. She leaves to retrieve her money, asking Arlong to wait. Soon after, Nami retrieves the 100 million berry she had hidden in Belmer's grave. Unexpectedly, Nojiko witnesses this, forcing Nami to reveal her secret. Nami explains that she had been saving the money to liberate their village from Arlong's tyranny, hoping to give the villagers a chance to live peacefully. Realizing this, Nojiko feels guilty for doubting Nami. As Nami prepares the money, Arlong's marine allies, led by Captain Nezumi, appear. Nezumi discovered the secret location of the money thanks to Arlong's information. Arlong deliberately leaked this to ensure Nami would lose all her money and be forced to stay with him, starting over from scratch to meet their agreement. After losing the hard-earned 100 million berry, Nami realizes she has been deceived by Arlong. Overwhelmed by the betrayal, she angrily damages her arm tattooed with the Arlong Pirates symbol. In her moment of despair, Luffy finally finds Nami. Despite Nami's limited explanation, Luffy quickly realizes that she has been a victim of Arlong's cruelty. When Nami pleads for Luffy's help to free her village from Arlong, Luffy eagerly agrees, considering Nami as one of his crew members. With Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji by his side, Luffy prepares to take on Arlong and his crew to avenge their wrongdoings. We then see Nami's past as a member of Arlong's crew. She endures immense pain from having Arlong's pirate symbol tattooed on her arm, and is forced to draw maps while chained until she turns 12. Returning to the present, Nami guides the Straw Hat Pirates to Arlong's hideout. Along the way, they encounter Sheriff Kenzo, who, after hearing from Nojiko about Nami's sacrifices, apologizes for his previous animosity. To repay Nami, Kenzo and the villagers are ready to fight against Arlong's crew. However, Luffy insists that the villagers' fight will be taken over by the Straw Hat Pirates. Upon reaching Arlong's hideout, the Straw Hat Pirates split up to carry out their tasks. Luffy and Nami head to the map room to retrieve the Grand Line map, while Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji focus on eliminating Arlong's subordinates. Meanwhile, Baggy finds his missing body parts in Arlong's base. Zoro, as the vice captain, allows Baggy to escape since Baggy has fulfilled his part of the agreement with the Straw Hats. At the same time, Luffy and Nami successfully secure the Grand Line map. As they attempt to leave, Arlong confronts them. Nami realizes too late that Arlong never intended to honor their agreement and was merely using her skills to further his goal of dominating the seas. Enraged by Arlong's betrayal, Luffy prepares for a more serious fight. As Nami escapes with the Grand Line map, the intense battle between Luffy and Arlong begins. Luffy cunningly destabilizes Arlong's hideout by destroying the building's pillars, causing the walls to collapse and scattering all of Nami's maps. In the midst of the fierce battle, Luffy delivers his strongest attack, ultimately defeating Arlong and causing his hideout to crumble. After escaping the ruins, Luffy officially declares Nami as a Straw Hat Pirate, considering her a friend just like the rest of his crew. Following their victory over Arlong, the village of Kokoyashi holds a celebratory feast, with Sanji preparing all the dishes. However, their joy is short-lived as a few hours later, Vice Admiral Garp, having tracked them down thanks to Captain Nezumi's report, arrives to confront Luffy. Luffy faces Garp in battle, refusing to surrender. Despite his full effort, Luffy is overpowered by his grandfather's superior strength. Cornered, Luffy declares his unwavering resolve to pursue his dream of finding the One Piece and becoming the Pirate King. Garp, reminded of the late Gol D. Roger acknowledges that Luffy's stubbornness is reminiscent of Roger's. Ultimately, Garp relents, allowing Luffy to chase his dream, but warns that he will now face even greater dangers as Garp will no longer protect him. Luffy remains unfazed, confident in his loyal and capable crew. The next day, Nami visits her mother Belmer's grave, hoping her efforts to free Kokoyashi Village have made her mother proud. Nojiko reassures Nami that Belmer would indeed be proud of her achievements. In a touching farewell, Nami announces her departure from the village to join the Straw Hat Pirates as their navigator. Meanwhile, Luffy reunites with his friend Kobe, who brings shocking news. Luffy's bounty has been set at 30 million berries, making him the highest bounty fugitive from East Blue. This poster was a retaliation from Captain Nezumi after being humiliated by Nami, but Luffy is thrilled by it, believing it will aid him in his quest. As time passes, Luffy's bounty poster spreads, catching the attention of both allies and enemies. Mihawk sees the poster and shows it to Shanks, Luffy's role model. Shanks is pleased and acknowledges Luffy's progress toward becoming the Pirate King. With this, Luffy and his four crew members set sail, leaving Kokoyashi Village behind. During their voyage, Luffy is excited to see their ship's sails now emblazoned with the Straw Hat Pirates emblem. Before embarking on their next adventure, the crew shares their dreams with one another. With their dreams expressed, the Straw Hat Pirates set course for the Grand Line to search for the One Piece, marking the end of this chapter of their journey.